youth unemployment currently stand at 64%. Now that poses an immense risk for South Africa. And unless something very drastic is happening, this is bound to increase. Now, in the long run, I don't know what's going to happen, but no country can sustain a youth unemployment rate of 64%. That's a part of the overall unofficial employment rate of 44%. The long-term socio-economic risks is huge. There's we will run into a huge security problem at some stage. So we have to do something about it. And fortunately, Digicentral has crossed our path, and I think we can make a substantial difference. Now, if we do this with a couple of individuals, you might say that won't change the whole landscape. But the point is, it makes a difference for individuals. That's where we start. Who knows where it can end up? So, Rudolf, I'm going to ask you a few questions just to tell us exactly what it is. Tell these people sitting here exactly what it is, what it's all about. And let's start off with what is the nature of the solution that you bring to the table?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Gerard. I think from our side, we're focusing on entrepreneurship. We're trying to get people to be self-sustainable, to be self-employed, and to generate an income for themselves, because we believe that there's not enough work. And you've mentioned it now in your intro that we don't have enough job opportunities. So from our side, we've structured a training program for young youth entrepreneurs to enable them to firstly study, but also secondly to generate an income. And we try and drive that process from day one, that they don't have theoretical knowledge only, but actually a basis to work from with capital, with income generation possibilities, and to almost take them off the streets. And I think the reality is that you cannot build a future for the country if the masses are unemployed. And as soon as you get money and food into the smaller, lower income households, you actually have something more sustainable for the growth of the economy as well. Our solution is built around a training program, a learnership that enables a person to build his own small business with theoretical knowledge and with income generation opportunities.
Now, NEASA is an organization that renders a service to business. Our constituency is business.
Yeah.
How does that link our businesses, our support base, with what you do?
Yeah, that's the exciting part for us as well, in that for us to drive this process of developing these young entrepreneurs, they need to have some sort of funding. And the funding comes through an employer or a company taking part in this program, actually utilizing tax initiatives to drive development of youth. And I think the reality is that we all need to invest somewhere. And whether that is for social development, or whether that is for BEE points, or just a matter of trying to uplift the community around you, the companies and your clients, then your client base, would be in a position to utilize funds that is publicly available, funds that they would spend anyways, and rather than paying over taxes, they can utilize these rebates to drive this entrepreneurship process, and that's not costing them money.
So what it means is, instead of paying tax at the end of the financial year, you pay a certain amount on a monthly basis towards this program.
Yeah, so it's a redirection of your tax money.
Exactly. So in effect, it might cost you something now, but in the end, it costs you nothing.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
tax you would have paid in any event.
Yeah.
How much time will it require of a business to participate in this scheme?
Yeah, I think that's also the beauty of it, in that this entrepreneur needs to build his own small business. So he's not in your space, he's not in your workplace. He's not going to interfere in the operational activities of your business. The biggest amount of time is probably signing a few contracts to enable the taxes to be unlocked, but also to submit the monthly submissions for the funding. I don't think it will take you more than 10 minutes a month in reality on a monthly basis.
So they're not managing it. You manage it.
Yeah, we drive the entire administrative process to get the young entrepreneurs on board, to recruit them, to get them registered with the different SETAs. We drive the payroll processes, and also the skills development points should it go towards VE structures.
Yeah.
And then also the exit with the SETA. So all admins with us.
So it requires no administrative input.
Yeah.
Apart from paying over the money to you. And there is a bit of an initial admin, and I say a bit.
Yeah, contracts that have to be signed. Yeah.
But the hard work you're doing. Yeah. What is for how long does this contract last? How long does this contract with you in respect of an individual last?
Yeah, it's a 12-month program. The training is also for 12 months, and then the entrepreneurship activities is also built around the 12-month process. So the entire process is for that 12 months, but there's a little bit of an extension at the end just to get the certificates out and so on. But then the employer is not involved in that anymore.
So once you've done it, you're out of it.
Yeah, there's submissions to SARS.
Yeah. Well, just explain briefly, how does it address the unemployment problem? And what I want you to address as well is, will you be able to involve people that you want to involve? Or is it just a bottomless pit? You throw in the money and it pops out somewhere with somebody you don't know, over which you have no control, and who doesn't benefit the area in which you conduct your business?
Yeah, the perfect scenario would be if we run this in a more rural or plattelands town, where we go to an area where there's no work, there's no opportunities for the youth, and we actually roll it out and ring fence it in a specific area. So we've got the ability to go and recruit specifically around a specific town or a township or whatever the case may be. And then also to get that economic activity active in that area. So by doing that, we're also able to ring fence specific products for the entrepreneurs to enable on-selling of goods and services through the technology that we drive this process with, so that a community could benefit. But we can also do it at a wide angle. So we've got current clients that do not care about where these individuals are. They need to spend the money, and they need to drive that process on any young entrepreneur. And we've got the capabilities and the clients that want it specifically in an area. And I think that is the big benefit, that you put money back into the community around you, and you have that buying power available to generate business for yourself again. And I think that is the beauty of the process, that you have a complete supply chain process around this, where an individual gets funded for his own small business, but he actually also trades with you.
Now, instead of paying paying money towards SARS at the end of the financial year, you redirect that money ideally towards a person or persons in your community. So that money comes back to your community.
Yeah.
That changes the lives of people in your community.
Yeah, good.
And it's good for your brand.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're involved in social upliftment, not only for people somewhere, but right in your. But that sounds almost too good to be true. So in terms of which legislation or part of SARS tax legislation you're doing this?
Yeah, there's specific tax legislation around learnerships. So this is a formal learnership. It's through Services SETA, and that the legislation is widely used. It's not just for the specific program. It's for any learnerships, and it's a common practice in any case. What we have done differently is that we enable this individual to do work outside of a workplace. And I think that is the differentiating factor here, in that he doesn't have to have a desk and a table and a chair to sit at, but he can actually work from wherever he is. And then also the ability on our side to drive that economic activity back to the employer, because in a normal learnership environment, for that specific income tax provision, you're actually just recovering some of your funds, whereas here we invested in that individual, which I think is quite unique in the way that it's rolled out. Yeah, so specific to your question, there's 3 different types of taxes. It all comes from the Income Tax Act, and it's specific to learnerships, and it's specific to youth, to enable job opportunities for the youth. And
is there any risk for the employer?
I think there's always a bit of risk in terms of activity. Do they take part? Do the learners and the employees then take part in the course? And it's something that we have to manage to ensure that we comply to all of the legislation. You can't claim the taxes if the person doesn't study. So I mean, those are simple rules, and we have to drive that activity from our side. Give you progress reports, give you information as to whether they're still active. And the nice thing is, then if they're not active anymore, then we don't bill anymore. So the two are always correlated to each other to ensure that the employer is not out of pocket, and we can guarantee those numbers up front.
How long are you doing this?
We started with this specific course in 2013. The structure has changed. The legislation has changed actually this year, and it forced us to change it as well.
Yeah.
But we started probably beginning of 2014 with the new venture creation course.
Are there success stories?
Yeah, there's some good success stories, and I was thinking of one when you asked about the link and the benefit to the employer again. But we've got a client that actually ring-fenced the money back to trading with his own employees, almost with his own entrepreneurs. And in the first month, the entrepreneur didn't take part in the course, and he got a reprimand. The second month, he took the seed capital that he had, and he went to go and buy a grinder. And then from that, he started doing odd jobs in his community, doing grinding work and a bit of maintenance. And he sent us a photo, and he said, "Listen, thank you very much. We're so happy with this. This thing is now generating income for him." The following month, he partnered with 3 other entrepreneurs in his area, and they went back to the same store and they bought a welding machine. And now they've got an actual small business. And I think the beauty of it is that this individual now has income generating opportunity after this 12-month process is done as well, to ensure that he can, if he makes 50 Rand a day, it's 50 Rand more than he had if he didn't take part in this. And once a person actually clicks that, once he knows how to generate that income, or he sees the opportunity, then he's got something to fall back on forever. And I think that's the nice success stories. There's a number of other ones, and if you forgive me, I want to tell another one that I went to Marquardt in the Free State to see a client, and then I met up with one of the students by chance. I actually knew he was there, and I phoned him up. And he waited there with his attire. I obviously could recognize him with a brand. And I had a good chat to him. And he actually owned a sewing machine from his mum or from somewhere. And he takes his seed capital and buys material, sewing kit and cloth and so on. And he started making masks. And about a month ago, because now I've got his details and he has my number, which is a problem with these youngsters. And he actually sent me a photo, and he registered his own small company with CIPC, got a F&B bank card, and is actively driving a small business now, which I think is the best thing that could happen, because he's out of the whole poverty thing. He would never have had a job in that town. There's nothing. I don't know when last you were there, but there's not a lot going on there. But this guy's now got an opportunity through a small investment that costs someone nothing to actually drive income generating opportunities for himself. And I think that is, once you see that happening, then this job becomes exciting on our side.
Well, that's the purpose of this whole thing. There simply isn't enough jobs.
Yeah.
in the formal sector in South Africa.
Yeah.
There's not sufficient jobs.
There's not enough work.
So what's the alternative? Is entrepreneurship. There is no. Now this guy in Marquardt, for instance, can expand his business far beyond Marquardt. There's Africa lying open to you.
Yeah.
So when you do that, when you understand what potential you have, there's no limit to that.
True.
With entrepreneurship, you're not bound to the area in which you live. You start there, but you move far beyond this. What does a prospective individual entrepreneur, what does he need to qualify?
Yeah, to qualify for the course, you need to have a grade 10 certificate.
Standard 8 in the old days.
Standard 8 for the older guys like us. And then you need to be between 18 and 28 years old. You need to be South African citizen. And then, to take part in the course, you need to have a smartphone, a device that would enable you to connect to the internet. And then we also give them internet. We give them data every month to take part, to do the training part, but also to trade with. 30 gigs of data. But yeah, that's the entry requirements for the learners.
Is there any restrictions in terms of the race of a potential entrepreneur?
No, there isn't. For an employer or for a company to get BE points, they would be allocated only previously disadvantaged individuals, but there's no entry requirement in terms of race.
Good.
The tax incentives is also
unless
available.
You need the points for BE purposes. How many entrepreneurs do you currently have on the program?
Yeah, currently we're driving this process actively for about 5,200 entrepreneurs across the country. I quite like the story. We've got 2 learners or entrepreneurs in Pofadder, which is a small town in the Northern Cape where probably no economic activity in that sector takes place. And so we can spread it as wide as possible. Our aim is to end the financial year at about 15,000. The market is big enough for probably 100,000, but we can, from our side, to grow it gradually. 50,000 is the aim.
And how many potential entrepreneurs has applied to be on the program and is finding themselves in the waiting room?
Yeah, so currently we have stopped enrollments, applications, purely because as people see the success of the program, other people want to take part. So we've got 25,500 currently available to allocate to employers, and they're across the country. So from that, we can ring fence them in specific areas, or we can go and specifically recruit around areas if we have to do that. But we've got more than enough interest from youth to take part in this course.
The informal sector in which these entrepreneurs will function, how big is that economy? If you operate, people operating outside of the informal economy really doesn't know that.
Yeah.
How big is this economy?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Firstly, that economy is a cash economy. It's an economy that's driven through cash transactions, and people are not yet. Maybe they don't trust formal transactions, but there's also a matter of that the facilities and the establishment in the informal economy doesn't allow really for trading online yet. So we're trying to infiltrate that area. Just in a spaza grocery informal trade area, the estimation is about 90 billion rand a year worth of transactions. There's also about 40 billion rands running through different other transactions, retail types of transactions, and then information in terms of maintenance and repairs, and so it's about 4 to 5 billion rand a year. So there's a massive cash economy driving through the more rural areas. What's also interesting from what we do is to try and link up your formal economy and products from the formal economy into these areas. So if you take groceries as an example, we can ring fence money towards groceries from a formal establishment into these areas to trade with. So there's a nice opportunity to link these 2 economies to each other.
Wow, well, that's just amazing opportunity. Um, once the 12 months is over, what is there any responsibility of the employer towards an individual?
Now, there's no legal requirement. There's no responsibility. It's a 12-month contract, a 12-month fixed term contract, and there's nothing forcing you to continue with a specific entrepreneur. There could be an opportunity to employ some of them if someone wants to. What I like about that idea is that a person who would enable himself to take part in this process has a certain set of values, has a certain set of responsibility or commitment, and I think that is quite attractive. If we can see that they make a success out of this, it's probably the type of person that you would like to have in your sales and marketing
Yeah,
angle,
yeah.
if it makes sense for the employer. But there's no physical requirement.
Well, the fact is, an employer during this 12 months, there's no need for any engagement.
Yeah.
But I think what will happen, and you must help me out on this, is that certain employers would like to engage to some extent, know these people, and play a mentoring role.
Yeah.
So you will see how this person is developing.
Yeah, from our side, we also mentor through our structures and the systems. We drive mentoring for the entrepreneurs. Would be so much more effective if an employer takes responsibility of the mentoring, because a business person understands business, and
Yeah.
it would be good for this young entrepreneur to get mentoring from someone who's been through that as well.
Yeah, fantastic. What does a business need to qualify, ideally? If any business listening to this, I want to do this, is there any restriction?
Yeah, there's no restriction. I think the real thing on our side is that for you to have it as a free or a cost effective solution, you probably have to be in a tax paying position. You can do it without paying tax. If you don't pay tax at the moment, it can still work, but then it's going to cost you a little bit of capital investment, which is not ideal. So we're trying to utilize the incentives that are available to drive this process. So that's the only real dependency. The rest of it is all add-ons. It's all nice to have, but there's no restriction to take part in this.
Here's an opportunity for each and every business to redirect tax money, which we all complain is not utilized appropriately. To redirect tax money into the lives of people in your area, make a visible difference in even people that you get to know. Do something with your money that where you can see the difference. What stands in the way? Why will not every business do that? What is this thing that a business is? I don't want to do this. I know it's all good and well, but I don't want to do this. Why will a person say no? I don't want to do that.
I think it's sometimes a bit daunting. Most smaller businesses that I know don't do their own taxes. They don't drive their own process. They merely pay it over, and I think that becomes a bit of an administrative conundrum. From our side, we don't believe that's an issue, but yeah, there's a requirement as well, which I should have mentioned earlier. Maybe is that you have to be tax compliant to claim the taxes. So you can't claim these incentives if you're not currently compliant with SARS. So I think from our perspective, there's this numbers game, and for you to add 20 or 30 people on your payroll through this learnership structure sometimes sounds like additional work, and I think that's a mental shift maybe. And if you listen, I have to employ 50 people, then you some smaller businesses do walk away from that. But on an administrative part, we cover that, and we drive that process to ensure that these 50 additional staff members that come onto your payroll and gets paid through the tax incentives do not become a burden on the company. And I think we've dealt with that, but people have to see it first, and the whole seeing is believing concept.
Well, the point is, if I understand you correctly, is that there might be a somewhat of a additional administrative burden initially,
Yeah.
but once it's done, once it's happening. And I think the fact that a company needs to be tax compliant is assuring.
Yeah.
Then SARS is part of this.
Yeah, true.
It's not a scheme on the fringes. It's right. It's part of this thing.
And the legislation allows for the transactions.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it should be an issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a measure of comfort.
Yeah. Absolutely. So what we're saying is that with our constituency, we have the ability to really increase these numbers as an organization. We have the potential to make a huge difference in the lives of people, and we started off something here that who knows where that can end. How much does it cost a business per month?
Yeah, there's a cost of 2,600 rand a month per entrepreneur, but on an immediate month-to-month basis, there's a 1,000 rand incentive that gets a cash outflow of about 1,600 rand for a company, and you recover all of that every 6 months. So on a month-to-month basis, it's 1,600 rand.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You either pay that now, and I can think even from a tax point of view, every time we pay provisional tax, that's every time I wish I could pay tax every month like an employee.
I'm just glad to hear you pay tax.
Yeah. Well, Rudolf, from our side, it's a great opportunity to work with you on this thing. And as we progress, we'll tell the stories.
Yeah, good. The successes.
We'll tell the success stories. How many companies are involved? We're talking about 5,000 employees. You did say 5,000? Yeah. How many companies do you have?
Currently, we've got 33 that takes part in this process. Some very big ones, and a lot of smaller ones as well. At various stages it differs, but
33 businesses.
33 businesses currently taking part in it, and last year at some stage before the tax legislation changed, we had 153. So it has the new legislation has impacted on this specific scenario. But yeah, we've got 33 active ones on this current structure with the incentives that are available.
Well, let us, this is my suggestion to NEASA's businesses and people listening to this. Let's increase that number in the hundreds and perhaps even in thousands. We unless we do something, we are busy running into problems. Government's running out of money, and supplying and assisting people through grants is simply no answer.
Not sustainable.
It is a huge impact on the self-esteem of people, their self-worth. There's nothing that can replace work. Money doesn't. The fact that you are enabled to work towards something not only puts food in your stomach, it changes your life. And here's an opportunity for each and every business to make a difference directly in the lives of the people in their town. You can actually see where your tax money is going to. Wonderful opportunity. It's a wonderful privilege for us to do that with you.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Rudolf. Yeah, thank you very much.